I wanted to show you a quick little DIY, something that you can do for a hostess gift, or if you have a retail space or you've got a booth coming up, something you can quickly put together and make something cute. We're going to be doing a faux chalkboard sign. I call it faux because I'm not actually using chalkboard paint and I'm not actually going to do any chalk art. I'm going to use our IOD white transfers. This one is called Seed and the sheet size is 11 by 14. We've got these on our website at jamirayvintage.com and they're $10. One will do an entire project. So we're using 3/4 inch sanded plywood, but you could get away with a 1/2 inch. This is just what we had left over. We like to reuse what we've got in the garage. They sell them in whole and half sheets at your local hardware store, and a lot of times they'll cut them down. So we just cut this down so that way our art would fit on it. So I'm using Fairy Chalk Mother in Best Black, and I'm just gonna brush this on here. It'll probably take me 2 coats.
Maybe, it's covering pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's because it's raw wood.
Yeah, it really soaks it up. If it wasn't, and you want it to be sanded smooth, so that way it looks like a chalkboard. You don't want it to be rough. And I'm not gonna paint the edges because the edges, Zeb's gonna show you how to frame them out. And you could, if you didn't want to frame it out, like if you don't want to go to that work, you could just paint the edges and then just put the transfer on here. That's fine too. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how much work you want to put it. I'm just using like a bristled brush that I have. You could also use the round zebra brush if you've bought one off of our website. Those are some of my favorites. Or a foam brush is fine. You don't want to use any brush, like a cheap chip brush, because then you're going to lose bristles and you don't want to have to be picking those out. Okay, it's nice and neat. I'm going to let it dry. You don't, oh, you should have this tip. You don't want it too thick because then you're gonna get ridges. You want it kind of as smooth as possible. If for some reason it's not super smooth, you can take like 220 sandpaper and then sand it smooth once it's dry and then maybe put on another coat. But depending on how this looks when it's dry, I may just do 1 coat. So the instructions are on the box in case you forget and you order one of these and you don't wanna watch the video again. It's pretty simple. So you're just gonna unroll your image. The plastic, the shiny part, is the part that has the image, and this back part is the transfer paper, so you're just going to pull off the transfer paper and keep it from sticking to itself.
That's the hard part.
So you want to see how I'm holding it like this?
Let's see how straight Jamie gets this on here.
Oh, that's going to be super straight. Okay, you kind of got to be careful. What do you think? Like that?
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
So if you want to go grab me measuring tape, or...
It looks it's a little high on this end.
Because there's more, but there's more like that.
Oh, I see the transfers.
Yeah, the transfer has stuff here and this is short, so I think I'm probably, this is very precise, so I'm just taking my fingers and just making sure that it's about the same top to bottom. Does it look straight to you?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna set it on and then you can, I'm gonna get some tape. So all of these kits come with these little applicator things. I don't know what you call them. And I would save 1 or 2. That way if you have a big project, 2 people can work on it at once. But you're just gonna use it and just separate the image from the plastic. So you have to rub it pretty hard. You can kind of see how it like becomes clear like that? That's because it's separated from it. And you have to do that to the whole thing. So once you can see that it's no longer stuck anymore, try a little corner and just double check. If you pull it up and it looks like the transfer's not completely transferred, just push it back down and rub that spot. Just be slow and careful. I think I got it all off. Ta-da! Okay, so this one's good. It's all on there. And then once I get this off, I like to take and rub my hands over it just to make sure it's like really stuck. And then we're gonna go ahead and seal it. You don't have to, but I'm gonna go ahead and seal it anyways, and then it'll be ready to frame. So to seal it, I'm gonna be using my DIY liquid patina. I could also use the big top or the Sweet Pickins top coat, All of those will work. This liquid patina I love because I use it for image transfer, decoupage, and it's also a top coat, so it'll work great for this. And it dries pretty matte, which is what I want. I'm just gonna use my Worcester foam brush. I like this brush because it doesn't leave brush strokes on my piece. I'm just gonna, oops, smudge it on there. I'm just gonna seal it.
There wasn't any dry time on this. Once we got the transfer done, we're just putting the sealer on.
Yeah, the transfer isn't wet, so you don't have to wait. Once the paint is dry, you put the transfer on. Once the transfer's on, then you just put the sealer on, and it'll probably, if you just do one like thin coat, which is really all you need, it'll probably take 15 minutes to dry tops, and then you can seal it. It's not like furniture where you really got to be careful and put multiple coats and buff it out. So once that dries, we'll go ahead and frame it out.
Okay, so what I have here is just a 1x2 strip of common board, and if you're going to cut it out yourself, if you just wanted to like cut it out of 2x4s or something, it really is 3/4 of an inch by 1.5 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this here, then I'm going to get my other board and set that right there, and I'm going to cut. This is flush on this side, and I'm going to cut right here on my line over the edge. I want that length so that it hangs out 3/4 of an inch wider, and I'll show you. I'm going to cut 2 of these, and then I'm going to do the same thing lengthwise and cut 2 of those. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the lengthwise. You can see how that's going to butt up there, and then I've got a little extra right down here on the bottom for when this wraps around. And I'm going to measure this one, since it's already over the 3/4 of an inch, right here flush. And I'll cut 2 of those out and we'll be ready to stain them. Alright, so everything's cut out so you can see how it's pieced together here. Long ways. Okay, so you hang one end over and that's your start. And I'll sand them a little too before we're all done. Then this one goes up like that. Oops, that's the wrong piece. And that's going to go like that. And then I'll have like a nice little box frame. And I'm going to stain them and then we'll staple them together. So I've got some Minwax stain here in Jacobian. I'm just going to stain these real fast. You could leave them raw wood, paint them, whatever you want to do. Got just a couple little 1/4 inch shims. Then I'm going to set this on there so it's not completely flat. That way, when I staple these on, it'll raise that up a little bit so I don't have to add hanging hardware. If I want to hang it, I can just rest it on that little lip that's on the back side. Okay, that's lined up pretty good. I'm just going to put a little pressure right here and hold that down. I'm using 18 gauge 1.25" nails in that. Okay, so that first one's on there. It's kind of my my mark now. I'm going to make sure my shims stay up underneath as I'm sliding this around, and just staple it on in. You can see the little lip on the back now, just from putting that little shim back there. And I've just got a nail that I use to hang my long ruler on, and that's why I left that on there, so you can now hang it without having to add any hardware. You can just use the wood. And that's done, that's finished, that's what it's going to look like.
Our project is all finished. Start to finish, it probably took maybe 20 minutes, not including dry time. It doesn't require any artistic ability, and you can have a craft that looks home done, perfect for Christmas or hostess gifts or selling in your booth. We've got these transfers on our website at jamirayvintage.com. You can also pick up the best black and the liquid patina there as well. If you enjoyed this DIY, click that button below for subscribing and the bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up and come back to Jami Ray Vintage for more DIY.